Okay, so we are officially live on Facebook for Spotlight Sunday, and we are here this week with Dusty, and I'm going to let you take it away and introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about you and your brand new business that you're starting and just kind of how you got started.
Awesome. I'm Dustie Nelson. The business that I'm starting is On Target Wellness Services. My goal is to provide convenient and optimized online therapy, as in counseling therapy, coaching, and consulting options for busy women. Myself.
Awesome.
That vision was born out of my own busyness because I was like, oh, I probably could use some help in some areas myself, but when am I ever going to have time?
Yeah.
Because my schedule is, it's rocking.
Yeah.
every day. So I was like, I'm sure there's plenty of me running around there, out there somewhere. So that was kind of the why. Also, I've been doing counseling for several years now. And something that I see a lot of is that basic counseling services, you'll hang on to a client for years sometimes, and I don't think it should take that long. I think that it should be a lot simpler process than it is. I've seen people make progress within 12 weeks, and that really, 12 weeks to 6 months you should be able to get taken care of what you want done within that frame of time. And the fact that doesn't happen very often really, it's disturbing to me.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah,
I love the businesses that are kind of born out of that rebellion.
Yes, I'm like, this system isn't working. This system is broken. This shouldn't work this way. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. And the reason that I decided to branch into coaching and consulting, one, I've been in business prior to doing therapy. I've been in business in leadership positions since I was 19, so a long time, and got lots of good, solid wisdom to share with people. And I'm sharing it a lot anyway. Like people come to me quite often for those tidbits. Coaching wise, it allows me to reach others outside of the state that I reside in. With my counseling practice, I can only serve those in my state. So that's kind of the why. Branding wise, kind of ties into my topic today. Because ta-da! I feel like branding is a product of who we are. I feel like I've been in the mode of branding myself since I was a teenager. And I've been branded. Okay, we'll get into that when we get into the actual topic here. But I feel like good branding, if your message is done well, it'll be unmistakable. People will know exactly what you're there for and what you're able to give to them. It's helped me to be present and really self-evaluate my inner person to determine, who really am I and what do I want people to experience through my person. And most of the time, in my truest moments, people have appreciated that.
Yeah, I love it. That's like a perfect answer, like word for word what's on my website.
I didn't copy it.
I know. I love it though. That's awesome. So, can you talk a little bit about like who your ideal clients might be? Like, do you work with any specific areas in your coaching and stuff, or is it just anybody?
It's specifically women, and the reason being, I have a significant history in working with women that have gone through trauma. So I worked for a domestic violence agency for about 6 years, and have volunteered there in training and things like that for many years after that. And what I've come to determine is, though not all of us have been through those tragedies, we all experience issues with self-esteem, confidence, being able to really stop second guessing ourselves, and living up to our full potential. And I really see that as being the vein that I work best in.
Awesome. I love it. Perfect. Okay. And then fun fact also, it's another Oklahoma girl here. So Dusty and I are both in Oklahoma. Totally random. Just happen to find each other online. I love it. The internet is so cool, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to pull up the stuff right here so I can see if anybody has any comments or questions as we go. Say hi when you get here. I see there are people watching, but you have to say hi so I know who you are. So say hi if you're watching. If you have any questions or comments as we go, put them in. I'll be checking. And yeah, I think that's all I needed. I had my little spiel. Okay. Victoria, hello. So glad you're here. Okay, cool.
Hi,
So, yeah. Story. Yeah. So we're talking about stories today. So I'm excited.
As a therapist, stories, I'm a master in stories, okay? I hear stories every day. There's some really wild ones out there. What I've learned through that process of helping people with their stories and moving through their sort of stories is that my story, my personal story, has an incredible amount of power. And by learning that for myself, I've been able to help them more. So the first thing that I'd like to say about stories and the importance of your story is something that I believe you wrote in my little bio section, is authenticity. Really understanding your story and sorry, there's sirens going on. Okay. Okay, so authenticity is a big deal. If you're not authentic within yourself, the message that you're sending to people is not going to be congruent. So congruent means basically if you just lost your dad and you come to see me and you're smiling and like, yeah, my dad just died yesterday, I'd be like, that's totally incongruent. Like, that's not,
something's off here.
Something's off. Something's way off. And the same thing's true in just regular, everyday interactions. People know when you're not being you.
Yeah.
Like, they can feel that. And I'm sure you found yourself in situations where you felt that.
Yeah.
I've tried to be people that I'm not. I've experienced that in my early 20s. Like, I'm going to try to be this goody two shoes. I've never been. Okay. It was a real struggle. But I was going to try. I was going to be awesome at it. It just didn't happen for me. I'm not a Susie homemaker. I am. Wait, hold on. I am. I'm not. Maybe a little. Anyhow. But it's just been a real fascinating process to get to that place of congruence. People know what they're going to get.
Yeah.
All of my employees that I have now, they know that I come in, I'm always smiling, I'm going to be sarcastic as hell, and probably put them on their toes a little bit because they don't know whether I'm being serious or not. I get that a lot. They're like, are you serious? I'm not sure. I'm like, yeah, probably not. Probably not. Probably not. Anyhow, so they know that's what they're going to get. You know, I'm got a lot of energy, a lot of drive. So I go fast all the time, and people know that. But the piece of authenticity that's really important, that I see that's important, is that it brings a sense of well-being and peace to your life. that you otherwise would not have. Though you may not be where you want to be, in a lot of ways, you are, because you're able to be content just in the space that you're in. And for me, that's saying a lot, because I'm very passionate, I'm very driven. Contentment goes counterproductive to that.
Yeah.
So to experience that is that you're on the right track. You're on the right vein when you're able to experience those things, and it just tells you that you're not fighting anybody else's battle but yours.
Yeah.
I
hear the word alignment a lot with
yes.
that. I really like that word. I think that's really good.
And that honestly, I'm a spiritual person. I would tell you that alignment's been one of those things that have been in my spirit for probably 6 months to a year, honestly, and been seriously pursuing that for a while. So yes, that's absolutely a piece of it, is alignment, because you just think about it. If your mind and body, soul, spirit, everything about you is not in congruence, you're going to be out of balance, and there's not that alignment that's present. Just like going to the chiropractor, you flex your neck or flex your back, so you're properly aligned and you function well. If in other situations you might not. The other point here I have is clarity. Knowing your story brings clarity to your life in general. It brings clarity into your values, what you actually value. If you look at this in a business sense, it helps you to really draw down what it is you're about and what it is that you want in your business to be. I've seen a lot of business owners. I come from a long line of them. And I've seen a lot of them, those in my family as well, that had a really hard time being able to draw themselves down into a particular niche, and then I've seen others, my dad being one of them. He was able to take his business and really fine tune it down into a viable niche and made lots of money. It makes a difference when we're pulled too many different directions. Our loyalties lie nowhere. So as I said, knowing your story, you get to know your values. Also, it gives you direction. It kind of goes hand in hand with everything that I've been saying there. It gives you direction. It gives you a place to go. Once you know those values, once you know those that core identity, you can then build steps to take you to that place that looks just like that. Just like what you got mapped out in your head. The last piece is connection, and this is the one that I use most often because of the role that I play with clients in therapy. Connection creates an emotional bond, which is absolutely essential when you're doing counseling and therapy practice. You have to have that bond, or change doesn't really happen. The tighter that bond is, the faster that change can happen. It gives hope to change. And we're taught in school as therapists that we should not self-disclose unless it is therapeutically relevant. Okay, so and I get that. Don't divulge too much. None of us like to hear sitting in a room and talk to someone that just wants to talk about themselves, right? I mean, except for me, that's what I'm paid to do. So I sit and listen to them talk. But anyhow, they don't want to hear me. It's not my session; it's theirs. So, but at the same time, there's many opportunities that I've had to share my story and share parts of my story that have actually accelerated growth and change, because they're like, oh my, you're not just this big wig at this company. Like, you've lived some pretty horrible stuff. Like, that's crazy. And so you can make it out of that. Maybe I can too.
Yeah.
That's the whole Me Too movement, right?
Yep.
So just a little bit of background there, so you get where I'm coming from. I am from Muskogee, Oklahoma. It's a pretty high crime area for as small of a town as you're like, yeah, for as small of a town as it is. In my earlier years, teens into my earlier 20s, I was involved in gang-related activities, drug dealing and violence, all the cool stuff that goes with that.
Yeah.
I'd seen things that a child, as I would put it, I've got a 20-year-old now, and I can't imagine her having seen the things that I had saw, being held at gunpoint, being, shot at, being, and having a diagnosis of PTSD by the time I was 17. It was great. It was awesome lifestyle. So, and you can imagine being able to share that story with a teen girl that may be going through very similar things.
Yeah.
It's, they connect with that. It's like, oh, that's this old lady. This lady that could be my mom is like, she's been there, done that, and like, she's okay,
Yeah.
I went to college on a dare. Like, I have a master's degree in psychology, and I went to college on a dare.
That's
Seriously.
crazy.
I know, right? I was nearly a high school dropout. My principal, while I was pregnant with my daughter, because I was a teen mom, let's add all these components together and you can see how crazy this is.
Victoria said, stop. You have lots of stories.
It's stories all day long. And so it's just, it is one of those things that, your story connects with people. It really does. And with someone like me that has so many stories, as Victoria says, because she's right, I've got stories for days. I could write a huge book. And anyhow, it places me in a unique position to be able to connect with a variety of different people. Now, granted, there are some of the upper echelon that I work with. Even it's funny. I find myself in a company of individuals that I would have probably never associated with otherwise. And I'm within the top 10%, top 5% of a 700 employee company. Wow. So and I rub shoulders, with some really highfalutin people, and I'm
all the fancy people. All the fancy people.
All the fancy people, right? Yeah. And I'm not fancy. Like,
I'm not fancy either.
I walk in with my sleeves and and my neck tattoo, and all of my rock star, status, and they're just like, that's her. Cool.
That's awesome. I love it.
It works. Oh my goodness, where'd you go? Oh, I lost you for a minute.
Okay, we're back though?
Yeah.
Okay. Victoria too wanted to clarify, the stop meant when you said that you were old, not stop telling stories. Stop saying that you're old.
Yeah, I get it. But listen, for real. Like, I experienced a lifetime of crazy by the time I was 21. So I feel like I'm old right now. My birthday is Friday. Happy birthday me. This is the start of my birthday festival. So
get a whole birthday week. I love it.
Yes. And trust me, I'm going to hold every employee accountable this week. Because they all already know. They already know. It's Dustie's birthday week. We got to kiss her feet. So
Perfect.
That's all I really have for today.
Mm-hmm.
I'm open to any questions or.
Yeah. So anyone, I see that there are more people than just Victoria watching, but no one else is commenting. So, but something Victoria said a few minutes ago, about trust. She said that just sharing that way builds trust. And I think that's a huge part of the process, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I loved how you related this at the beginning back to building your business and all of that stuff, because it's so important, not just to build a brand and build a business that connects with other people, but you have to understand it for yourself first. I really love that part of it, because that's something that you don't usually hear a lot of people talk about when we talk about branding. And you're supposed to tell your story, but not about, the part about you. So I have a question, if that's okay.
All right, that's fine.
For somebody who's like just starting to go into, figuring out what their story is, do you have like a process, or like what would you recommend them doing? Because I feel like that word is just misunderstood a lot of times. Like,
Gotcha.
we all have stories, shit that's happened to us in our lives, but how do we know like what the deeper meaning or what to pull from them?
The really big idea here is to find your patterns. Because, for instance, when I get clients started on narrative type therapy, which is where they are telling their story, we start with a timeline. Okay. And we do good experiences and bad experiences, and we try to name as many significant ones as we can. It's a brainstorming session. That's all we do, is we sit there and brainstorm. Okay, what's all of the significantly bad things that you can recall, and when did it happen? At what stage of life? When did it happen? And then we'll name all the good things. And then they have to go back and kind of search out, the worst from the not so bad, and the best from the mediocre. And so there's a ranking that you do at that point. And then we're looking for patterns. We're seeing what's the most significant, what's been the most impactful for that client, and scaling it down. And then we're also looking at patterns, reemerging patterns, such as, I had very poor decision-making skills. But from childhood, I had a very traumatic history of child sexual abuse and some other things that trickled into, you can see where that door opened up into the hate and the violence and the road that I ended up on. So patterns of thought and patterns of feeling and interaction began to drive my life and where I was headed. So I can very easily recognize some of those patterns that led me there, but I can also see the patterns that led me out.
Yeah.
So, and that's really the even more powerful message, I think, is that, I didn't get stuck there. Like, and I honestly have friends that did, I had a couple of friends that just paroled out of prison, I guess it was last year, that have been in prison since I was probably 18. So, it's, that people get stuck there and it doesn't change for them. So why is it different for me? And I think it really comes down to patterns. Once again, you've got to one, find those patterns, know the patterns that speak to you, and then be able to. The really big deal is that, like, for instance, the whole gangbanging crazy stuff that I did is still actually a very, it is a piece of my personality. Because I am that rebel. I am that maverick spirit. So it was fed out of that. Now, it was a negative piece of that, but it was a part of that.
Right.
you know. So yeah, that's kind of, I know that was a little bit of a rabbit trail, but
No, that's perfect.
you end up really you start from a really small spot, like you're a brainstorming session, and then you take it into other levels of self-discovery, and that's really what it is. It's an exercise in self-discovery and figuring out who you are, because you can build a business all day long that looks like something fabulous, but if you're not being you, if you're not being the truest form of you, people aren't going to get really what you're out to give them.
Perfect. I love how you said that. I was like, okay, so I feel like this is a perfect transition too, to start talking for a minute before we hop off about your new business that you're launching, because like this is just outside looking in. I feel like a lot of times, like the clients that I've worked with, and I'm sure your patients, I get, they're still called patients right now.
No, they're actually called consumers.
Consumers. Okay. Well, I feel like at least what I've come across is that recognizing those patterns is the hard part, and you kind of need that outside perspective to come in and help you, and that's like kind of what you do, right? So let's hear about your new business that you're starting then. And you said January you'll be taking clients, right?
Yes. January I'll be taking coaching and consulting clients. Therapy practice will not launch until June, just because there's more intricacies involved there than the other. So yes, we'll start in January for coaching and consulting. Coaching will look similar to therapy, but not the same. It's not the same thing. It is really goal directed and very streamlined. I'll work with you to find out what it is that you need help with. I am wellness based, so that's on a spectrum of 8 dynamics within wellness. I don't have them all written down here, or I tell you what they are.
That's okay.
It's like spiritual, emotional, psychological, financial. You get it. You get where I'm going with that. Anyhow, there's 8 dynamics on that wheel, and as far as wellness and individual coaching goes, I'm going to be working in that domain. So we'll decide which area you're deficit in, and then just make a plan and get to it. My goal with every client is to have you out within 12 weeks.
That's awesome.
If we can't do that, if something's getting stuck, 6 months tops, because I feel like if you're working as hard as I'm working, we're going to get there. We're going to get there pretty quick. And then consulting, as I said, that's open to mostly small business. I would do some smaller corporate identities as well if they were needing it, but I'm not into the big deal. So I'm doing that right now.
That's what we're getting away from.
Yeah. We're trying to get away from all that. So I would do a little bit of small corporate, and then definitely some small business coaching, whether that be a sole proprietorship where it's just you, or if you have a team that you're working with as well. I do really well with team strategy, and that's what I do now, is building strategic options for team productivity. So that's that's kind of a niche, I guess.
Yeah. It's super important too.
Yes, it really is. It's really, really important.
Yeah.
You're not going to do well without it. Aside from that, as I said, the therapeutic practice will be open to those in the state of Oklahoma, starting in June. And I will specialize in women's services, or services to women. Everything will be online. I do have an office space in the works, but it's going to be opening with the tattoo studio. So, and
I love that.
I know, right? Like so against the rules.
Yeah, I love it.
So against the rules. So anyhow, yes.
You could even do the sessions while you're getting a tattoo. I would totally go there.
Wait a second. That's already been my dream child. Okay, I don't know if it.
I would totally do that.
Like trust me, I've already gone down that road, and that's kind of my little brainchild. I don't know if the board will accept that, but then I'll just call it coaching. See, I'll be like tattoo coaching.
Yeah.
I don't know. That sounds okay.
Yeah, I would totally do it. There's a market for it.
Office building that is being renovated, so don't really have a place to. I mean, I have places to meet people, but as far as an office space to sit in face to face, no. I can. Online's where it's at. That's what we're going to be doing for a little while, and that also helps me while I'm transitioning from the positions that I'm in now.
Sure. Cool. Well, I'm excited, and I can actually go there because you're only like 40 minutes from me. I can't wait to see. I've been looking for a new tattoo person.
Right on. Yeah. Well, we're gonna. The guy that's apprenticing me, we've been friends for about 20 years, and we've done business ventures together. We've done art projects together. We've painted cars. We've done all kinds of stuff together over the years, and this is just another one of those things. And he actually has a very successful tattoo studio in Denver, Colorado. He's opening the second location for me to run. Yay! Nice.
That's so exciting, though.
It is. It's exciting. It's exciting. But he was like, I want somewhere to be able to work when I have to come home, And he's like, and you can run it, and and I'm like, okay, whatever. Whatever.
Have fun. It'll be fun.
It will be fun. I agree. I'm excited about it.
Good. Well, I'll come check it out in June then when it opens.
Yes.
Well, cool. Well, it looks like there aren't any more questions. Let's make sure I didn't miss anything. Victoria said happy birthday.
Thank you.
Cool. Okay, so anyone that's watching the replay later, if you have any questions or comments or anything, put them in and we will get notified. So yeah, thank you so much for coming on. This has been super fun.
I agree. I've enjoyed it greatly. Thank you.
I'm so glad. Alrighty. Well, I will be back for Thirsty Thursday and maybe sometime in between. I don't really have any plans for the rest of the week, so I might pop in. You never know. But yeah, so everyone have a great rest of your weekend, and we will see you soon. Adios.
Bye-bye.